All right, y'all, so today I'm going to start working on my installation of my 7-pin connector. It goes inside the bed of my F250 2013 model for gooseneck and fifth wheel connections. I want to put mine right on the inside right here. I believe it's where they're supposed to go, right in this general area. I'm gonna mount it up a little bit higher, as high as I can get it and still clear everything, because number one, I don't want to interfere with this little rack right here where you're able to put a 2x6 or whatever across to separate loads above and below if I ever want to do that again later. And the other thing is, a lot of times when I'm towing somewhere, I'll have equipment here in the back of the truck bed, so I want to be up higher, so I don't want to put it down low like the former owner of this truck had when he put some aftermarket piece of junk plug in there that he just used vampire taps on my wiring harness. Good job, buddy. Blew every fuse and circuit breaker in the system. Oh, and blew out the brake controller, the little brain box in there that's got the lever and the buttons on it. Yep, had to replace that too. So yeah, he messed all that up. I got this kit from Ford. This is the actual plug and play deal that it's supposed to have on the truck. Now, I use the word kit lightly because it's not much of a kit. What you see here is what you get. You got the base and the plug in, and it's got all the little tabs where you can stick it in where it's supposed to be and everything real nice. But no hardware, no template, so you have no idea what to cut out of the bed. And it's kind of specific. You got a location tab here that's supposed to key into the bed, and the tab on this side you'll see is slotted, so that's obviously intended to have a sheet metal slide under that to kind of lock it in from the side. So I made myself a template, so hopefully it'll lock in on the one side and key in on the other side, and it'll hold everything in place besides having the 2 bolts. So that's what I did for the template. And I went to my local Lowe's and picked up some the U-nuts, the spring style U-nuts, 5/16. Got the extended ones, the long ones, so it should reach good. And the bolts I got are 5/16, 16, 5/16, 18 by 1. It looked like 1 inch was long enough to go through. It's hard to do this with just 2 hands. I need another hand. Anyhow, to make it through there, plus have enough threads to fully engage the nut. Lock everything in place real good. I like these flange style bolts because you don't have to use a washer with them. And what I'll probably do is I'll probably paint them black before I actually do my final installation, so they'll just blend in real nice and won't be sticking out like a sore thumb. You'll notice the unit only takes 2 bolts, but I bought 4 bolts and 4 nuts. Reason for that, I goofed up when I ordered this and I ordered 2 of them. So I've got an extra one I'm selling right now, and I figure when I do sell it, I'll throw in the template and the hardware to help out the next guy. So this is where I'm at, getting started. I'm gonna go ahead and tape the template to the wall of the bed there, make my tracing on the inside, then pull it off and start drilling and cutting. I'll get some more pictures along the way. All right, got my hole cut. So a couple notes. First off, protect your hands, wear gloves. Second off, be thinking about how long your blade is when you go to cut this thing, or your drill bit, whatever you're using, because you only got so far like that before you get into your bed on this lower end. It's even closer on the upper end. It's to my second knuckle there. So be mindful of the outside of your bed when you're doing this. Now, I'm not real happy with the way it's turned out. The hole's cut, the hitch plug-in fits in there. Could have been a little neater. I guess I'm saved by the fact that the flange is bigger than the opening, so it'll hide a lot of mistakes. So I don't really feel comfortable in passing on this template to somebody else. but it did the job. So next step, I'm gonna bolt them in. All right, so for my next step, what I did was I put the mount in the hole, and I squared it up with one hand according to where I wanted it was be nice and square with the bed and everything. And I took a bit that was the same size pretty much as the hole in my drill, and I used it to just bump for a second top and bottom to make pilot holes. And then I used a step bit, because you have more control with a step bit instead of going all the way through and having a big long bit going out to the outside. I'm very protective of my bedside. So anyhow, used a step bit, and I went to the 4th step on mine, which made the holes a little bit bigger than the bolt. But that's good, because once I put my nuts on here, my U-nuts, that will give me a little bit of range of motion, where if it's slightly off, I can get it squared up before I tighten it up. So that's the next step. I'm gonna put them in and bolt this thing in. And there we are. Installation's finished. Nice and sturdy. Like I said, I'll come back later and I'll pull these bolts out one at a time, and I'll paint the heads of them so they'll blend in there better. Everything's nice and square. Now, whew, it is stinking cold out here. We got snow on the ground. I'm freezing. I think I might take them 2 bolts out, pull this thing back out since I know all that's done, and go find a buddy that's got a nice warm garage with a lift. Once I get to his place, I'll slap it back in there, bolt them in, and get underneath and do all the plug in. But man alive, it's cold out. I know, I'm a big baby. There's people that's got it colder, but I don't care. I'm used to warm. All right, so yeah, I was gonna head to a buddy's house and use his lift, but it's tied up right now. So went ahead and bolted that back in, dropped my wires down in, and we're gonna lay on our back and do this, I guess, old-fashioned way. Now, what I really like about using a factory harness is this. Wire comes down, had one little push-in holder thingies right here, push right into that hole. And then down here, you had another spot where there was one right here, pushed in there. Had a bigger one, you see on the base right there, pushed in there. Holds everything up in place nice. Now, for the fun part. All right, so you see these 2 little tabs right here, there and there, on the inside of the sidebar for your receiver hitch. That is where where'd they go? I lost them now. Huh. Well, those are my new plugs. The other plugs are right there that have disappeared on me. Oh, here they are behind me. Okay, they dropped down. So these that run right along next to your spare tire, they go right up here and they hang right there, okay? They got a plug in each one of these that keeps dirt and nastiness out. You just press it on the tab on the top right here, pull the plug out, and your new wiring plugs right in. So obviously I'm having some issues with my lighting and holding the camera phone and everything else, so I'm gonna go ahead and get all this stuff hooked up, and then I'll be right back. Okay, so I got my light secured. I got those plugs back on the little mount there where they go, and I pulled the plug, let's see, got the harnesses plugged back in where they go, and got the plugs, the actual stopper plugs, out. So at this point, you just take your new wire harness and plug it in. And hold my mouth right. There we go. And here we go. There it is. So, yeah, I'm fat in the mold, I'm out of breath, but that's okay. Make sure everything's plugged in good and tight. There, that one snapped now. And that one snapped in. Make sure they snap in good, so you got a good tight connection. Everything will be sealed up. So that's all there is to it. Everything's hung back up out of the way where it's supposed to be. And I'll figure out later why this isn't hanging up a little bit better. Oh, I see why. It came off a little tab right here that's supposed to be holding it in place. So I'll probably get my little handy dandy tool that pulls them out without breaking them, tape this all back to it and put that back in there like it's supposed to be. And I think I just remembered why this is like it is. I mentioned earlier that the redneck had this truck before me had chopped into the harness and spliced in for that aftermarket type plug. I think right in here's where he'd done it. Yep, see the vampire tap where they've been in it? So I'll probably end up, looks like there's a little bit of corrosion in there. I'll end up having to clean it up and seal them up later, and I'll get that all hung back up the way it's supposed to be. Factory parts, baby. Stick with factory parts. All right. Oh, I'm all done. I'm going to the house and warm up.